The Powerpuff Girls movie is one of my favorite animated movies of all time. I also think it's one of the best adaptations of a TV series into a film. Though at the time of release, critics weren't so fond of it. People called it too violent for a cartoon, and the destruction of a city wasn't something people wanted to see. Especially since this came out the year after 9/11 happened. The movie didn't do well financially or critically, but as a kid, I loved the Powerpuff Girls movie. I actually saw it twice in theaters. And seeing a movie twice in theaters as a kid is a big deal because as a kid, you don't have any money. Though the reason I saw it twice was because the first time I saw it with my step-uncle's kids and they were being obnoxious in the theater. So I told my mom about it and asked her if I could go see it again. This is a superhero origin story, but instead of getting the powers, the girls are born with it. And the people of Townsville have to accept their powers as part of who they are. But after their game of tag, the city is completely wrecked, so Townsville is against them. That's where Mojo Jojo takes advantage of the situation, and convinces the girls to make a machine to make the world a better place, but not really because he's a villain. So we get the origin of the Powerpuff Girls and Mojo Jojo. Both of which we learned in the show itself, but in this film we learned the entire story. The main characters being the girls, the professor, and Mojo Jojo are the main focus, but we do get to see others play a role, such as the mayor, Miss Bellum, Miss Keen, and even a couple of other villains show up like Fuzzy in the beginning of the film and the Gang Green Gang later on. The characters actually have a slight redesign that would then be implemented into later episodes of the series. The color palette is vibrant and everything looks very clean. The animation is also excellent. Since they had a higher budget than the show, they did a lot of really cool things. The big chase scene with the girls playing tag really shows it off. You can tell that the girls have their own distinct personalities just from their flight patterns. The movie itself has a bit of a darker tone than the show. A couple of scenes that highlight that are when the girls are walking through the city trying to find their way home, and when they're in space on that asteroid and Buttercup and Blossom are arguing. There's a much different feeling there than in the show. That's not to say that the movie is completely in that tone, no way. There are a lot of bits of humor thrown in this film just like in the show. Like when the professor is naming the girls and he gets to Buttercup and says, I'll name you Buttercup because it also starts with a B. And there are a lot of puns, both from the narrator in the beginning and from Mojo. In fact, after rewatching Rise of the Planet of the Apes recently, I kept thinking of Mojo as Caesar. But if Caesar created a bunch of narcissistic apes that couldn't decide on a leader, that entire sequence of all the primates going over their plans is just hilarious. So the humor is definitely intact. The music is also perfectly in tune with the show. It has that great fast-paced sound, and the theme chimes in at just the right moments. The movie isn't very long, it's only an hour and 10 minutes including the credits. But it's short, to the point, action-packed, fantastically animated, and also funny, just like the show. If you're not a fan of the show and saw this film before seeing anything else of the Powerpuff Girls, I could understand why someone wouldn't like it because they have no context of what the show is like. However, if you are a fan, you will definitely get something out of this. So, do you like the Powerpuff Girls movie? Tell me down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, by now we're getting a bit used to winter. We're like soldiers in the middle of a campaign, growing hardened to discomfort and better able to take